Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at property address 16664 Southwest Jean-Louis Road. Did my best there with the French accent here in Sherwood. We're located at the back of the house here where the garage driveway area is at. So in the concrete, just outside the garage door, you got a big steel cover plate. Covers up a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out the foot counter here at the base of the cleanout. And off we go. All right, transitioning here over to 4-inch 3034 PVC. Stair step down there. Alright, and there's the main lateral connection right there at 31 feet. Nice short sewer line. And granted, we do have a bit of pipe to go and look at as we go backwards here, which we will do here in a moment once the line drains out. The line shoots out underneath the garage floor. Anyway, line goes right out to the street out back here. In fact, you've got a couple markers. If you stand, generally I describe things as if you're in the street facing the front door. In this case, if you're facing the garage door from the roadway, you'll see an S at the front right corner of the garage, and a D at the front left, I'm sorry, the driveway, and a D at the front left corner of the driveway. Front right has got an S on it. That stands for sewer. The S is where the sewer line crosses into the road. The D is where your storm system pipe crosses into the street. In case you're curious what those are. Alright, all the 3034 PVC pipe there looks good. It's clean, drains off proper. Transition joint also looks good. Little stringy things there. My camera right now is flipped over. That little stringy stuff at the bottom left-hand corner, those are just cobwebs. Not there's any trees around here anyway, but that's all that is there. Alright, we're gonna flip the camera around here and run backwards. Everything from the clean out access to the main lateral is all in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly at this time. Alright, we're going to next down here to 3-inch diameter pipe. This went through a reducer there. And from the looks of it, it looks like you can just barely see a little bit of the main stack drop down from upstairs in the utility closet down here. There's a radon pipe in there too, which can kind of get you confused, but you can barely see the sewer pipe come through the wall down near the floor. And it looks like we just went through a little tiny bit. We're still in a little bit right now. You know, that kind of standing water right there, this is about somewhere between a 1/16 and a 32nd of an inch of standing water. I think this is actually going to route us all the way back to the bathroom on the bottom floor here. if we can make it all the way there. Oh, there we go. So right here is where the line goes vertical. I don't want to, my camera's having a really hard time moving at this point. Let's see if I can get it to aim upward. This is either going to be a vertical pipe dropping from down upstairs, or we're going to be right at the base of the toilet on the bottom floor. Yep, that is the bottom of the toilet there. I just flushed the bottom floor toilet. And we're going to let that drain through completely here for a moment. We'll take a look at that standing water. So under normal circumstances, if this were anything but a brand new construction home, I would hardly even be talking about that standing water. And even for brand new construction, it's very, very minor stuff. So we'll let this thing completely drain off here for a second, and we'll go back through that. But my threshold for the average used lived-in home for standing water, and then as a preface to this is after doing 25,000 sewer scopes over 15 years now. So I've got some fairly strong opinions on bellies and when they can truly become problematic. So once you've got a 5-foot section of pipe with an inch of water is where I generally start to consider repairs on bellies. Most of those are only when they're very close proximity to the home or underneath it. For new construction, I dial things back quite a bit. I do nitpick these more. Usually I start recommending fixes on them, partially out of just principle, once you've got about a 1/2 of an inch of standing water or more. So anyway, we'll let this drain off here for a second. I'm going to pause video and then we'll come back on here when the water's drained off. Looks like we're drained off here. Now, what we looked like we had here was between the about a 32nd to the 16th of an inch of standing water, and not that can't theoretically contribute to, you know, some kind of buildup or blockage or something of that nature. When you get to that level, it's almost entirely related to how the line is being treated. I cannot tell what that is hanging down there. That's just some debris. It could be a little bit of excess pipe glue. Alright, so I just did a quick locate. The only reason this catches my eye more than anything is the coloration of it. It's almost got a rusty red hue to it, which for a modern sewer line like this made of plastic is an unusual thing to see. Generally speaking, the pipe glue drips that you'll see coming off these things are generally black in color. This one's just got a little bit different coloration. The only thing I could surmise that might be, other than kind of, you know, potentially a glue drip that got some gunk over the top of it. That's the other odd thing about it, is these lines have been used so little. There's just not much that have gone down it. There's zero of that same coloration anywhere else in the pipe. What I immediately start getting concerned about is, did something penetrate the pipe joint, like a nail or something of that nature? That's one of those spots that you just about have to do some drain cleaning on to see if that thing pops loose or if it remains there. If it's a piece of metal and you run a machine through there, I particularly use a flex shaft machine. I would run my machine up to here and just barely bump the foot pedal enough with a camera behind it so I can watch what happens. If those chains hit that and just kind of bounce and deflect off of it, you know you've got some kind of object sticking through the pipe joint there. Pipe glue is either going to rip loose or it's going to flap out of the way. So where this is located at, right when you walk in the front door, there is essentially a closet directly in front of you. So where I'm located, I was actually standing inside that closet. Where I picked this locate up here right about on the turn is right underneath the door for that closet when the door is closed. About 2 foot 4 inches deep. Right now, being that it's hard to discern what it is exactly, this is one that I might ask the builder to flesh out, because it wouldn't be the first time I've seen some kind of debris get pinched into a joint or penetrate through it during construction process. It's the color of it that is odd about it. Glue drips are very, very common to see in new construction. Just the way that looks and displays itself is kind of odd. It might be absolutely nothing, but that's kind of a strange color to see there in a new plastic line like this, especially being that the line hasn't really been used at all yet. It'd be one thing if the line had years of use on it, you got grease buildup or something like that over the top of a glue drip or something like that. All right, so right here at about 28 feet approximately going backwards is where this standing water dissipates. So the bottom of my camera lens sits about a 1/4 inch off the bottom of the pipe. What you have there is extremely minor. It's not even a 1/16 of an inch. It's about a 32nd of an inch. That's not the kind of stuff I'd recommend repairs on. Even for brand new construction, it's far too minor to need that. The only thing that you would ever get consistently hanging up in standing water that minor is if you are putting a considerable amount of cooking oil and grease down the line. And grease will build up anywhere, but it tends to do that or concentrate more so when it hits standing water, because it cools down rapidly and it floats to the top of the water and just kind of sticks to the sidewalls. And there's still a little tiny bit. I mean, it's such a small amount of water, it's not even occupying the full width of the flow line. It almost looks like you almost have two back-to-back bellies. They're both very, very tiny. So it gets out here in total. It's hard to see where the little bellies start and stop because the water level is so small. I'm trying to get back in here, I get the water to ripple again. And sometimes you can get sawdust and dust and things like that on new construction where water can stand because there's a tiny bit of fine particulate in the flow line. That almost appears, it may be the case here. And you kind of pop back out of it there. So you really have kind of two different bellies. You know, for instance, if this were a significant belly and you were to fix it, you would fix it in one continuous go. From about 12 to 28 feet here, you have two bellies back to back that are holding around a 32nd of an inch of standing water. It's far too minor, in my opinion, to need repair work. Standing water that minor would take a very sizable amount of abuse to ever start playing into functionality. You'd have to be flushing stuff down the line that was essentially already going to block the sewer pipe. It's that small. Now, being that nothing's broken there, busted, anything of the sort, that's not something I'm too concerned about. The thing I'm more concerned about is what's going on there at 33 feet. You potentially have an object through the pipe joint. Again, could just be a glue drip with some odd gunk over the top of it, but that's one I would recommend potentially drain cleaning to see if it can be removed, and then re-scoping to see, you know, if it remains there, if it was just some debris that will get cut off the pipe joint. Otherwise, aside from that spot there at 33 feet, a little bit of a question mark there. The rest of the line here is in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly at this time. And whatever is going on there at 33 feet it's high up out of the flow line. It's small. From just a flow standpoint, not something that's concerning as it relates to blockages. What concerns me more is if you have something that's actually penetrating the joint there that could have the line exposed to the ground.